Whoa, guys, I didn't see you there. There we are. Hey, I get a lot of questions, and the main question is, why did you choose the new EcoDiesel over another Cummins? Obviously, I needed another diesel build. I didn't want to stray away from Ram, because I love the Ram, over the Ford, over the Chevy, and now over the Nissan Titan. You can see those videos here. I'll also link them up in the description, but you know, it's a little windy. Let me jump in the truck for a sec so you can hear me better. All right, that's a little better. So, like I was saying outside, one of the big questions is, Jay, why did you go with the EcoDiesel rather than getting another Cummins, whether it be like another 2500 or another 3500? Well, obviously, like, the 3500 has already been done on this channel. So, you know, getting rid of that 3500 or passing it along to a family member, taking another 3500 and just doing it basically exactly the same way doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm sure you guys understand. If you want to see 3500 build series, I have a whole playlist of it that'll also be linked somewhere, probably in the description, and you guys can watch that. But there's no point in me buying another 3500 to build again, basically. So I want to say first and foremost, like, the Cummins is an outstanding diesel. And a lot of the decision of why I chose the EcoDiesel versus the Cummins doesn't come down to whether the EcoDiesel is a Cummins or not. It was strictly a diesel decision. I know I wanted another diesel build, obviously. You guys loved the 3500 build, so I wanted to make sure that I stuck with a diesel build. But, again, like I said, so changing over to a Power Stroke, you know, as I've gone over in a ton of other videos before, browse the old videos if you want, because I go over all this stuff. But to make a long story short, I'm not a huge fan of the Power Stroke engine. I think Ford has great body styling. I think Ford has great aesthetics on the interior and things like that. But I'm not a huge fan of the Power Stroke, and I'm not a huge fan of how pretty much any kind of maintenance that needs to be done, the cab needs to be removed. Again, with the Chevy, I think the Chevy makes a really nice looking vehicle. You know, I think that the Duramax is a pretty solid engine in certain years. If I was going to be a Duramax guy, though, I would build an LBZ. And honestly, for like a 2006 and a half, that's kind of the year that I was told that you would want for an LBZ. You know, with low miles, in clean condition, people want almost $40,000 for them. So the value for money, you know, even though it's an outstanding truck and it's an outstanding platform, that's an outrageous amount of money for a used diesel of that age, especially compared to what you can get brand new. Again, I have the #1 video for the Nissan Titan Cummins review, which will also be linked below. I hate it. I hate the Nissan Titan Cummins. What they did with that engine, it's essentially the, what is it, the 5-liter Cummins out of like an Isuzu delivery truck. So I wanted to stay completely away from that, and I hated it, and it's overpriced. So I knew the Titan was going to be out, which landed me back in my own backyard of the Ram truck series. So again, my choices, 1500, 2500, 3500. We know that the 3500 is out. So then it really becomes down to the 1500 EcoDiesel versus the 2500 Cummins. And again, you know, the 2500 has the independent front suspension, unlike the 3500, because one of my biggest complaints with the 3500 is the ride quality. Even doing all that, you know, probably $6,000 or $7,000 worth of suspension work to it, it was a huge improvement, but it was still a very rough ride. The other thing is that vehicle is meant to tow, you know, and pairing it up with the trailers that I tow, it just doesn't make sense for me to daily drive it and have it in another state than what needs to be towed. Third of all, I made the mistake of buying that truck in a Bighorn spec. So while it still had the same entertainment system, it didn't have leather, it didn't have heated or cooled seats, it didn't have the bucket seats, it didn't have the full center console, and you know, it was more of a utility truck for me. So when I got rid of the S6, I wanted to replace it with something more luxurious, and like I said, that's why I landed on the 1500 EcoDiesel in the Laramie spec, because this essentially, the only comfort feature that this truck doesn't have under the Audi is the massaging seats, and after a while that becomes a little bit gimmicky anyway. So that's why I landed on the EcoDiesel. So what the EcoDiesel is, if you aren't familiar, is it's a Ram 1500, clearly, but rather than using the 6.4 liter Hemi, it uses a 3-liter single turbo charged diesel engine. You know, it doesn't make a whole lot of power compared to the Hemi, but it does have the same foot-pound of torque as like a 2500 Hemi does. So you still get a great amount of torque for this size body out of a half-ton chassis, but you're not stuck basically driving a semi-truck equivalent around on a daily basis. So this can tow 9,200 pounds. So my Cummins 3500 makes about 385 horsepower and about 900 foot-pounds of torque, while this 3-liter EcoDiesel makes 240 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. So obviously, like, the needs, wants are a little bit different, but for what I need now, anything I tow isn't going to be more than 10,000 pounds at the moment. And if I do, then the 3500 is the way to go with the Cummins. But for a daily driver, you want to be back in a pickup truck, you want to be kind of in the diesel world, but you don't want to be immersed into kind of a heavy line truck. The EcoDiesel is actually a revolutionary experience for a driver. Because honestly, I'm not joking with you guys when I say this. This truck, I mean, those of you who talk to me offline, who know me personally, will know that I've told people this is an amazing truck. I prefer it over the Cummins line, honestly, because you get kind of the ride of a Cadillac. Obviously, you can see these leather bucket seats. They are incredibly comfortable. You know, it's got a lot of torque, so you can tow up to 10,000 pounds, and 90% of users aren't going to tow more than 10,000 pounds. That's a lot of weight. But you have the great driving characteristics of a diesel that, you know, that a lot of you guys come to know and love. So when I purchased the EcoDiesel over another Cummins, I looked at being realistic with what I needed versus what I wanted. I know I wanted a diesel. I know I wanted something that was going to last me a long time and have a great resale value, but I didn't want another heavy line truck. So obviously, because at the time of my purchase, Ford and Chevy both weren't really to market with their half-ton diesel options, it was really between the Ram 1500 and the Titan Cummins, which is like a 5/8 ton payload truck. So you guys also already know how I feel about the Titan with the Cummins, so the EcoDiesel was really what it came down to. Now, VF Motors, I think, or VF something, was recently acquired by Fiat Chrysler America. They're the ones who actually build the diesel for this EcoDiesel. It's the same engine that's in like the Grand Cherokee diesel and now the EcoDiesel. So it's a proprietary in-house engine that was created by FCA for FCA. So that gives me a little bit more confidence. Obviously, I don't have any complaints about the Cummins. If this 3-liter turbo diesel was a Cummins, it would be, just for branding, it would be amazing. But obviously, they couldn't come to an agreement with Cummins, so they did use their own in-house motor. Honestly, it's a great drive. You know, it picks up well. You guys know by now that I have the pedal commander installed, which takes away any of the lag from the 8-speed automatic transmission that this truck is paired with. You know, that's something that is a characteristic of all diesel engines. You generally don't accelerate that fast, but like I said, I did find the pedal commander. I like it because there is you know, there's a lot of customization that you can go into it, how you enjoy your throttle response personally, and I'll link to that review video below also. Honestly, guys, it's a great platform for those guys who want to be in a diesel, want to be in a diesel driving characteristic truck without the need of a heavy line vehicle. Back to the wants versus needs. I know that I wanted the ability to tow. This can do it. I wanted the ability to build another truck for this channel that was not a gas. This does it. I wanted the ability to daily drive this thing and enjoy it and not, you know, have such a huge truck. I love huge trucks, but once you can get over that kind of, you know, that kind of stigma that a guy needs a huge truck, you know, I know it. I've been there. Most of you guys have probably been there. I've had two 2500s, two 3500s, and a 4500 for work. So, you know, I get it. I love the big truck. Everybody loves to have the big truck, but honestly, this thing's great, and it's really remarkable. Like I said, it's hard to explain, it's hard to articulate, but you know, once you're okay with a 1500 level drivetrain, it's really not bad. It's very comfortable to drive because it does have that 1500 driving characteristic, but it has the power of a diesel. It really is the best of both worlds, and that's why I chose it, guys. Thank you so much for the support on the EcoDiesel already, by the way. Most of you are really excited for the build, as am I. I've only had a couple of people kind of talking crap. There's going to be a ton more information about this EcoDiesel coming out as I put it through different tests, as I experience more about it myself. So if you are interested in purchasing an EcoDiesel rather than a Cummins, I do suggest that you subscribe and browse the channel. All of the links, like I said, will be in the description below. But that's all I can do. That's all I can do is give you information. I wanted to upload a quick explanation of why I picked this EcoDiesel over a Cummins, you know, and I think it's a great choice. I stand by it. I only have about 1,000 miles on it right now, but you know, they've been worry-free and they've been great miles. You know, I can go 3 weeks without filling this thing up with diesel, and when I do fill it up, it's $55 versus $90. So great truck, you know, very, very happy with it, and thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. We're gonna have a ton more stuff coming out. I'm excited. I know you're excited from the comments, and we'll see you next video.
Ryan Little.
Yoga.